Hey everybody, back with another movie that just got released this Friday the 4th. Once again, we saw this movie a couple weeks ago for Find Your Film, and this is definitely shot up to in my top 5 for the year. So if you haven't heard of Sound of Metal, you should definitely look into this movie. Currently it's going to be streaming on Amazon Prime, so most people have that, or a lot of people have that, so it's an easy thing to access. I'll give you the basic details and then we'll kind of get into why it's such an awesome movie. So, Sound of Metal is directed by Darius Marder. It stars Riz Ahmed as Ruben, and Olivia Cook as Lou, and Paul Raci as Joe. And it's a really basic concept. Basically, all you're doing with this movie is Ruben is in kind of this, like, I guess you would say kind of noise, art, metal, hard, heavy, experimental band with Lou. And it turns out pretty quickly they're both, have various degrees of addiction issues that they've been fighting with. He's been sober for about 4 years. And very quickly you see that his hearing is starting to fade. And he goes to a doctor and finds out that his hearing might be fading permanently, possibly. So that's kind of your main setup for the movie. Now, what makes this movie really special is just kind of the way this film allows you to just sink into the character of Ruben especially, and really see this struggle with his loss of hearing. The bulk of the movie takes place in kind of a rehab house for people who are dealing with hearing loss or partial or full hearing loss, but also are people who have various degrees of addiction. And what you find really quickly is that this character study is more about the addictive personality than it is really about the hearing loss. The hearing loss is just kind of the the triggering mechanism that forces him to have to kind of deal with the demons that make him an addict, But in that setting, there's a whole element of really interesting immersion that is created by this movie. And how it does it is really cool. I mean, the sound design is incredibly complex, and sometimes will be pulled in to what level he's hearing. Sometimes you'll be pulled out and hear just what's happening in the world around, but all these people who don't hear are not making much sound. So it's kind of almost like you feel like you're a fly on the wall in those moments. Sometimes it's total silence. Sometimes you're just hearing the ambient sounds. So it's very interesting. There's some stuff later on with the sound that's especially interesting, but I won't give that away because I don't want to spoil it. There's some things that happen. I would highly advise, since you can't have this access to this at home, sure, you can watch your big TV with your big surround sound, and that's probably going to be pretty good. But I would really advise you put on headphones, because if you put on headphones, you're going to really get the intended effect, like personally in your head. And I think that will really help with the empathy and the immersion and the feeling as a viewer and a listener that you are kind of in the place of the character of Ruben. Now, really quickly, a couple of interesting things is, Ruben is not a wholly sympathetic character. He is quite a broken character. He does not make great decisions throughout this movie, between himself and Lou and his relationship with her, and also his relationship with this group that is trying to help him deal with what it means to be a deaf person, and how you have to go through the world differently, and how you have to deal with how you think of yourself in that world. He doesn't always make the choices that are best for himself. And that growth is striking and really emotional and very well earned. This is not a sappy movie. It just lets you be in the world and experience it with him, and does it in a way that's really affecting, I think. And then there's a final act of this movie, which I will not describe, but I think it really elevates this movie to the next level. Excellent movie. Spectacularly good. The acting by both Riz Ahmed and Cook are Oscar worthy, and hopefully will get nominations. This movie should get several other nominations, maybe Best Picture, Best Script, I would say probably, and definitely sound. The sound is probably going to win, should win for this movie. I would say run, don't walk, and go watch this movie. It's worth your time. And for me, it's pushing right up near the top 2 or 3 movies of the year for me. I haven't seen many movies that are much better than this. So once again, that's The Sound of Metal on Amazon Prime. Go check it out.